Welcome to the video tutorials of the book Methods, Evaluation and Research in Education by Mohammad Aktaruzzaman. And today we're going to learn how to do Way ANOVA in SPSS. In fact, this is an inferential statistical test. T-test is used to determine whether there is any significant difference between the mean of two groups. Suppose we have four groups and we want to determine whether there are any significant differences among their means. For this, we would have to use 6 t-tests by taking two groups at a time. It can be done by a single test called ANOVA rather than the 6 tests. Way ANOVA deals with one independent and one dependent variable. It is same like two sample t-test, but the only difference is, in case of ANOVA, the independent variable is classified into more than two groups, whereas in two sample t-test, it is restricted to two groups only. Let's go through an example to clear out your confusion. A researcher wants to study the effect of 4 different methods of teaching. He takes 4 groups of students randomly selected from a class. These 4 groups are taught by the same teacher in the same school, but using 4 different methods like lecture, lesson, discussion, and demonstration. At the end of the session, all the groups are tested through an achievement test by the teacher. Here, the method of teaching is the independent variable and score of the test is the dependent variable. The test scores of these 4 groups are kept in a file Way ANOVA. Considering the above scenario, now we're going to test the null hypothesis. Here, the null hypothesis is there is no effect of teaching methods on the achievement of the student groups at 0.05 level of significance. Let's see the SPSS data editor window at the screen. Now, go to File, then Open Data, and then Data File under SPSS Evaluation folder, and open the file Way ANOVA in the SPSS data editor. The file is shown in SPSS editor in the data view. Let's see the variable view of the data. There are 2 variables, score and method, which are of numeric type, and the scales of measurement are scale and nominal respectively. In the values column, method variable is classified as 1 for lecture, 2 for lesson, 3 for discussion, and 4 for demonstration. Go back to the data view of the SPSS data editor. You see the variables at the top of each column and also see the scores of 20 students with respect to different methods of teaching. The pattern of data view is different from the usual one. You can change the data view pattern by clicking the value labels icon, which is third from the right at the toolbar just below the menu bar. Now, go to Analyze menu, then Compare Means, then Way ANOVA. Just click it. Take the score of the student in the dependent list and teaching method in factor. Yeah, it's already done. At the same time, click the Posthoc button and specify the level of significance as 0.05, which is already there as default value, and it implies 95% confidence interval. Now select 2 key if homogeneity of variances exists and games Howell test if homogeneity of variances do not exist to see which groups are causing the mean difference if null hypothesis is rejected. Now, click Continue. Also click the Options button and select Descriptive and Homogeneity of Variance Test. Click Continue and then press OK. See the output at the screen. The mean and standard deviation of the scores for lecture, lesson, discussion, and demonstration method are shown in the first table, Descriptives. In the second table, Test of Homogeneity of Variances, the sig value is 0.903. Let's look at the third table, ANOVA. In this table, the sig value is 0.003. For testing the hypothesis, SPSS needs only the sig value to be compared with 0.05. Remember, the sig value generated by SPSS and this level of significance is completely different. In SPSS interpretation, sig value greater than 0.05 means acceptance of the null hypothesis, and on the other hand, sig value less than 0.05 means rejection of the null hypothesis. In case of homogeneity of variances test, sig value 0.903 is greater than 0.05, which implies the null hypothesis there is no difference between variance of the groups is not rejected. It indicates that the variances are approximately equal. In case of ANOVA, the sig value 0.003 is less than 0.05, which implies the null hypothesis is rejected. That means research hypothesis is accepted. So, the teaching methods have significant effect on the achievement of the students' groups, and this effect cannot be attributed to chance factor. However, using the F value, degrees of freedom between groups as numerator, degrees of freedom within groups as denominator, and level of significance, you can do the same interpretation manually. The details of it are described in chapter 10 of the book. Let's see the fourth table at the output viewer, which is post-hoc test or multiple comparisons. As the null hypothesis is rejected, that means there is an effect of teaching method on the achievement of the students. But this result do not tell us which methods are responsible for the effect, like for the mean difference. So, we need the post-hoc test results to verify this. The post-hoc depends on the homogeneity of variances. As the variances are approximately equal, the two-key test can be interpreted. If homogeneity of variances do not exist, Games-Howell test can be interpreted. It is observed in the two-key test results that lesson method is mostly causing the mean difference by counting the number of asterisks, which denotes the mean difference between the two methods is significant. Hope you have understood the Way ANOVA. Now, you can practice yourself on different datasets to gain better understanding. Thank you for staying with us. It's Yazdani saying you goodbye.